controversial topic. We have to remember that ever since I made those statements about in 2019, Israel has been continually trying to provoke Iran to attack itself. They have been striking Iranian and Iranian proxy bases in Syria consistently, almost weekly, year in and year out, and including the airport in Damascus and other, civilian sites. And Iran has refused to respond until now. And the reason I think that they responded now in a limited manner, and I want to emphasize that it was a limited strike, is that Israel went outside the bounds of international law and struck an Iranian embassy in Damascus. This is a no-no. Even in wartime, you don't strike somebody else's embassy unless you're trying to provoke them in the ultimate way, and it worked. They finally got Iran to strike back, but it was in a limited sense because Iran still isn't ready. And this is the primary evidence that I have that Iran's nuclear program isn't ready yet. And that's what's causing them to be reluctant to go to all-out war to Israel. So they struck, with about 300 aerial missiles, drones, targets. 97% of those were shot down by a combination of U.S. F-15s that were in the air, Jordanian F-16s, and others using anti-missile things. They shot down several of the more difficult ballistic and cruise missiles there. And the drones, which were flying over 1,000 miles, were relatively easy to shoot down. They're a slow mover, and so the Israeli Arrow system got them. The reason the Arrow and the Iron Dome combination, Israel has a variety of missiles, anti-weapon missiles. They have the very expensive Patriot-type missiles as part of the Iron Dome system, but they also have the cheaper, smaller interceptor missile, which only costs about $40,000 a piece. And they use those mostly to intercept these to be able to save their more expensive $1 million missiles for what's certainly going to be a much larger barrage when they finally do go to war. And so this is one of Iran's tactics, is to use up the supply of Israeli and U.S. missiles, anti-missiles, so that when they do overwhelm the Iron Dome system, Israel and the U.S. runs out of missiles. That's what Iran's tactic is going to be. Now, the proof of this is the fact that the Biden administration is leaning heavily on the Israelis not to do a major counterattack. Now, first of all, we have to remember that this is a counter to the counter because Israel provoked this, and we have to be very clear, just like they provoked or opened the door for the Hamas attack on southern Israel by pulling 80% of the Gaza battalion out of southern Israel. This telegraphed a very clear signal to Hamas: we're wide open, come on in.